Hello, I'm Vicky Payne. I'm a general practice and holistic vet and a behaviourist and veterinary advisor for Oscars and Breakthrough. Today, as you can see, my office is dressed up for Halloween, and we're talking about, I think, a relatively new thing for pet professionals to help pet owners to deal with, which is Halloween. When I was younger, it wasn't really a big thing. These days, Halloween is a much bigger celebration and something new for our pets to cope with. So I think a lot of the stuff around Halloween is quite similar to a lot of the fireworks advice. Again, not confined to one particular night. Now obviously Halloween is the 31st of October, but often if people are doing trick-or-treating or having Halloween parties, they're going to choose those probably to be the weekends either side of Halloween itself. Loads of great advice that we can give on this, and quite a few problems that have started to occur. So I think the obvious big one is people coming to the front door. So a lot of dogs anyway have a problem with people coming to the front door, what I kind of the postman syndrome. Somebody comes to the house, rattles on the door, the dog goes, "Oh my God, who are you?" has a bark, the person goes away, usually the postman, and the dog kind of thinks, wow, I saved my family from this person invading their territory. And so every time the dog goes through that barking behaviour, it works. Dogs don't understand that postmen go away anyway, that that's what they do, and that they had no intention of coming into the house and robbing stuff. It's quite a difficult one to deal with, and my usual advice for postman barking is keep the dog away from the door, so use barriers to keep the dog away from the door, or keep the post away from the door, so using a letterbox at the end of the driveway. We can use a similar approach with Halloween. So I love Halloween, I love dressing up, I love seeing the kids dressing up, I think it's great fun. However, I don't want to be opening my front door and having to keep my dogs back and having my dogs bark and risk them running out into the road and things like that. So my advice for pet owners who don't want to get too involved with Halloween is to set up like something Halloweeny outside. So if you don't want to be involved at all, there are signs that you can get now that say, please go past my house, we're not doing Halloween, no trick-or-treaters. And I think in most areas, certainly where I live, that's well respected. So where people have put up a sign saying no trick-or-treaters, nothing bad happens to them. It may be different in some areas. If you want to get involved but not too involved, then I have my Halloween goodies behind me, and I set those up in my porch or in my side. I've got a little side passage, so I set that up. I make a big sort of Halloween display there and put out a cauldron full of sweets for the kids to come and take. And that means that I can stay in the house, my dogs can stay in the house, they're not annoyed by people knocking on the door, they're not upset and barking, and I'm not having to deal with that. And we've also reduced the risk of them running out into the road. Again, setting up your house for Halloween, so if you know there's potentially going to be Halloween trick-or-treaters, making sure you've walked your pet before they go out, again, using a well-fitting collar and well-fitting harness so that your dog's not going to escape if they do get spooked. When you come back in, making sure that curtains are closed so they're less likely to see people walking past the windows, which again is a trigger for a lot of dogs to start barking, and having music on inside so they're less likely to hear people going past giggling and talking, or the TV on. And again, my advice is always, don't go for kind of really quiet music, don't go for a rom-com. I'm going to be going for action movies at this time because it's way more distracting. Just like the sort of advice that we give for fireworks, it's going to be very similar. Do things with your dog during the day so they're tired, so they might go on an extra long walk, you might do some more enrichment activities, and you can carry those enrichment activities on into the evening. If you've got things, the Buster activity mat is great fun, snuffle mats that food can be sprinkled in, any of the activity feeding toys, so the Buster maze type feeding bowls to slow down eating, a cube that they can knock around the floor, any of those things just to make life more fun. You can do some training, but keep it something light-hearted and something that they already know how to do. For pets that are more upset by this, and if you think it's going to be a real problem in your area, again, it may be appropriate to look at calming supplements that can be given in the food 1 to 2 weeks before Halloween, possibly plugging in dog appeasing pheromone products like the BFAR product, maybe using the sprays or a collar. Again, you want to start those 1 to 2 weeks before you're expecting this problem to occur. You can definitely, if a dog is not coping with a lot of things at this time of year, so you're like, oh God, we're going to have firework, we're going to have bonfire night, we're going to have trick-or-treaters, there's lots of stuff going on, then it might be appropriate to get the dog started on Breakthrough to reduce their background levels of anxiety and to help them cope with those situations better. Now, although Breakthrough can work really quickly, and we've had some owners report improvement in 1 to 2 weeks, be aware that it could be sort of 4 to 6 weeks. So it's something you definitely want to start sooner rather than later. So other things that might happen. So some of your clients might want to be more involved in Halloween. I've so far gone with how we avoid Halloween. If you want to be more involved, then yeah, it's a bit of a craze now. People on their Instagram, on their Facebook, on their TikTok dressing the dogs up and having them being part of the Halloween celebrations. That's great if your dog likes dressing up. If the dog isn't enjoying that, isn't enjoying being dressed up, then it's absolutely something that shouldn't happen. If people want to get their pets involved, they need to start getting them used to those costumes early. So some small dogs are quite used to wearing coats to go out and about and a little hood and won't find it upsetting at all. For them, having some clothes on means, yay, we're going for a walk, and they'll often get a lot of attention from that, so they might enjoy being dressed up. Bigger dogs that aren't used to it, just be careful. If you want to make Halloween costumes, then building it around something that the dog is used to wearing. So if the dog is used to wearing maybe a fleece for drying off, maybe you do that in black and you have some skeleton legs coming off it, or you put some spider legs on, something like that. But the key thing is that if we're going to dress pets up, if they're going to be part of these celebrations, they need to be enjoying it as much as we are. And I think it's worth just making sure that they are enjoying it. And if you're using Halloween pictures on your own social media, make sure that they show dogs that are looking like they're having a good time. It's very easy to catch a photo at the wrong moment where the dog's got like a whale eye, is looking slightly nervous of something, and that's not what we want to be showing as pet professionals at this time of year. If it's not the pet getting dressed up, but it's the people getting dressed up, again, prepare your dogs for this. It can be a bit alarming. I do like, my scythe in the background, I do dress up as Death regularly during the autumn for the Sussex bonfire parades, not just for Halloween. And it's a bit of a shocker the first time my dogs see me, and they all kind of go, the younger one will normally go, ooh, who's this strange person? And then they walk up and then they have a sniff, and then they go, oh my God, it's mummy, and they wag their tails and they're really fine. But yeah, it's something that you can, if you're going to have a party and your dog's going to be involved, then the dog needs to get used to that and needs to see a few people in silly outfits and with their faces covered up and in weird colours and with dangly bits coming off them, and have a good experience with those people before you invite a load of people over for a party. So it's a new thing to be thinking about, I think, Halloween parties, but definitely there's a lot of scope for dogs being frightened, but also for us to make those a positive experience for the dog. Alternatively, we might decide to make them a nice den somewhere else in the house that they don't have to deal with the Halloween party. Again, use your dog appeasing pheromone products, make a nice snuggly bed, have stuffed toys in there for them to eat food from, those sort of things. As always, just a reminder to follow our social media outlets and to get your clients to follow our social media. So we've got Facebook, Instagram, takes me a while to think of all these, LinkedIn, any others, YouTube. We've also got on lots of resources, so infographics on this sort of thing that you can share to your social media, and blogs on dealing with seasonal problems, desensitization, all sorts of things like that. So I hope this is making you feel positive about Halloween. I really love it. The key thing is just making sure that our pets have a good time and really enjoy it too.